Good afternoon, good evening, good night. This is Soup City Sins, Season 2 Epilogue. The name of the epilogue is Sleeping Fleas, Waking Dogs of War. And we will begin fairly shortly. Soup City Sins, Season 2 Epilogue, Sleeping Fleas, Waking Dogs of War. We have Hester, Lucio, and Simone already on, and just waiting for a few of our others. Today is a relatively special end of season epilogue for what the coterie has gone through and what they're potentially looking forward to. How are we doing? All right, so we're gonna dive right in if you guys are up for it, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Coterie, Alexander,
Yep.
coterie. We have in presence Hestia, Lucio, and Simone. We're gonna go ahead and start with a scene that's already in progress. Having caught up as much as you had, um, if you're ready, just give a yell.
Welcome to the group.
Thanks.
All right. So when we last left our coterie, as all around you, potentially very near you, um, grenades, Molotovs were being set off. There were shots being fired. While no kindred immediately fears the pain inherent of being shot, there is the beast's natural inclination towards self-preservation, and it can and often does cause a myriad of nearly autonomic responses. By the way, Alexander, if you'd be so kind as to go ahead and roll your dexterity and athletics for me, please, when you get a chance. Um, in the fracas, Hestia had separated from Lucio, who was on Urzuli's arm, making their way to her table, which is set up on the western side of the room. Um, Simone and Clyde were heading towards the door, and Ender, who managed to make it in time, was near the VIP section, blending with the other kindred who had either already partaken of the many sacrifices about you or who were fighting their very, very tempted and teased beasts. So, chaos. They're with the VIP area where you guys are in this particular nightclub is one of Dalton's more exclusive. It is the very definition of children at play, as it were. The titillation is of the Disney variety, at least from the outset. It has the glitz and glams of a mini Las Vegas in terms of where they're going. It's gaudy, it's over the top, and for a brief shining moment, it was the central star of a secular moment of kindred coming together, raised voices, and exaltation. It was the blood disco in full display, unmasked and viewed with no blinders on. It was an orgiastic moment where the touch of God, or God, either capital or lowercase g, could be felt. And then chaos, grenades, gunshots, screaming of both human and kindred. And there's something uncanny about a kindred who had not roused the blood for a blush of life. The voice sounds dead. The voice sounds empty. The voice sounds somewhat unnatural. And yet those voices were mixing with the human screams all about you as gunshots, grenades went flying. You all, quite naturally, being creatures of nightmare and being creatures of the imagining, went into full effect. Your responses kicked over. You kicked in. People leaped away or skittered across the ceiling. Kindred tore through others as fires erupted around them, and they lost themselves to the frenzy of the beast. You all, unfortunately, are a good deal more humanistic than that, and in the shuffling madness of fire and brimstone, one very important thing was forgotten by the attackers, that while the building itself may be able to withstand some small structural damage, the floor itself is and was wood. As the grenades went off, the floor fell away. People running, screaming. Those who did not leap to safety by climbing up the wall like spiders out of some Orwellian nightmare or some anthropomorphic kiddie show went falling in tatters and flame, blood, and screams. At this point, would you all be so kind as to those who have rolled successful, which were Alexander, Hestia, who rolled successful, you all have another opportunity to save by catching yourself. Everyone else who did not, you all will tumble. You all.
Okay, so is there any way that we can possibly roll with impact?
Yes, always. It'll be stamina athletics. All right. If you would like to make an additional roll, that would be your die pool. So we're gonna go in reverse order, reverse alphabetical order. Simone, what are you doing? The floor falls away. The beast raises to the surface of you. You were barely resisting it previously. Now it has a mission. It has a goal and a drive. What are you trying to do? Clyde was attempting to get you out, away from the stimulus, when all hell broke loose. Hell on earth is actually here, not just within your head, not just between your ears.
I'm gonna roll with the fall damage and try to get outside as quickly as possible.
Okay. Lucio, you and Urzuli are halfway to our table when the floor falls away. There are screams of pain and panic and people running to and fro, and the floor disappears from beneath your feet.
Do I even get to react with the 0 successes that I got?
No, you're definitely going to fall. You can attempt to try to catch yourself or soften your landing, but that would be about it.
I'll try, but I'd also like to try and prevent Urzuli from getting hurt as well, if possible.
All right, excellent. Well, that being the case, go ahead and give it a quick roll. You get 1 additional die. You get an bonus.
What am I rolling again?
Stamina athletics.
Stamina athletics. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. You said I get 1 extra die?
Correct.
Fingers crossed. That's not bad.
Simone, you didn't give me a roll there when you get a chance. Hestia.
I'm trying to remember my actual dice pool with my hunger roll. I think it was 2.
Okay. Hestia, you are lost in the sea of bodies when everything goes sideways. There are screams, panic, plumes of fire erupting. Not far from where you are, there are bullets tearing through the crowd. You hear people screaming, not just in pain, but from impact. What are you trying to do? Where are you going? What's Hestia's actions as the world goes sideways around her? People are screaming and crying and all manner of pain.
Well, my first thoughts are my coterie, so I'm kind of looking for them as I act, but I have spider climb, so I'm going to activate that and jump for the nearest wall.
All right, go ahead, give me that roll when you get a chance. I see that you roll with impact. Is that what you're going to do?
Yep.
All right, so the floor disappears from beneath you. You have Simone almost out of the door. You have him almost away from paradise. And then the violence that has erupted in your life over the past couple of weeks, over the past couple of days, comes home to roost. There are men in the door chucking grenades as if they were attempting to blow down the entirety of the building. Bullets are flying in swarms. And as the floor disappears from beneath you, Simone is torn out of your grasp by gravity. So you instinctually roll with impact. You, Simone, and Lucio end in the snake pit of limbs and people screaming and clawing and trying to get to their feet. Somehow in the midst of this, you see that you, Simone, and Lucio have managed to not become buried by the sheer press of human and kindred bodies scrambling and clawing and fighting for escape. What's your action?
Hestia or mine?
Yours.
Well, if the floor is no longer there, I'm gonna try to roll. I had 2 successes, and then where's the fire and get away.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Alexander, you got to the club just behind 4 other kindred. they move in. You only know they're kindred based on how the security responds to them. It's much the same way that they respond to you. Opening doors, giving you the once over. You can tell that they're looking at you with not just their physical senses, but other more esoteric sorts where things are clearly seen. You make your way in. Ursula doesn't immediately present herself. She's lost in the crowd. Butterfly, being a social butterfly, glad-handing and talking, whispering as Mama Walday gives a sermon of thanks and appreciation, what it requires to really live up to being a child in the Garden of Lilith. Then the violence starts. Then the people start screaming. Bodies start falling. Bullets start whizzing by. The floor disappears. You see several kindred take to the walls and begin skittering like spiders into the darkness and away from the violence that's erupted. What are you choosing? Alexander, did you hear me?
Yeah, so from what I gather, people are like bombing the place and
Yes, it is a madhouse. It is a war zone. But it's a one-sided war zone.
Okay, wow. How many can I make a judgment of how many men are attacking the
4 from the main front doors. There's another few throughout the crowd, so your rough guess would be between 7 and 10.
between 7 and 10? Okay. Are there any wounded right next to me?
Right next to you? No, the floor is falling away.
Okay, I see. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get out of there then if the floor is falling away. And try to help people along the way if I can.
Alright, sounds like a plan. Back around to what happens next. As everyone rolled with impact or leaped to safety or otherwise escaped the falling floor as best as they could, the firing doesn't stop. The shooting doesn't stop. The grenades being thrown does not stop. It's clear that they bought out the local army surplus store and intend to make sure that they expend all of the ammo they possibly can. Having been close enough to see them up close and personal, Clyde, Simone, you know that they are kindred who are doing this. And you know as a kindred that the bullets really won't be that effective unless, of course, you emptied nearly an entire clip into someone. At least you do, Simone. Clyde, the emptying the clip really didn't help you all that much. You ended up having to resort to actually using it as a bat, so you're not too sure whether it's how helpful the entire clip of a gun would be either way. But as you all roll with impact and land there in the basement, 2 things become apparent. The basement had a way out, but there are too many people who've fallen down here to make it there. You'd have to go up, or at least up and back away from where the shooters were at the edges of the room. You all see Lucio, who has managed to bodily keep Urzuli from landing in the pile of people, or better yet, from being impaled by some of the flooring. Simone, what are you doing?
Alright, what's closer to me? The front of the building where the shooters are, or the stairs leading deeper into the building?
The front of the building is closer, but that's where the men with guns are.
Okay.
Clyde's closer, Lucio's further, and Lucio's with Urzuli.
I tell Clyde and Lucio to lead everybody out of the back, and I try to stealthily jump into more deeper shadow to casting celerity, of course. And I'm gonna try to get to deeper shadow so that their line of shot will be a little bit more difficult because I'm going in a wide angle and in deeper shadow.
Okay, you know that whole that very, very tactical, very skilled shooting style known as pray and spray. Well, they're doing half of it correctly. The pray part somehow is escaping.
then I definitely am gonna have to close in and stop them from shooting. Yeah, deeper shadow and kind of loop around using stealth, kind of get closer.
Okay. Go ahead and make that a dexterity stealth. And let me know what you get. Lucio, you bodily keep Urzuli from impaling herself on the flooring and landing in the mass of bodies. You hear Simone yelling instructions. What are you doing?
I think it's time to follow those instructions, and I'll tell Urzuli we've got to get out of here.
She's a little
We
shaken
got to
up.
get as many people as we can out, too.
She's a little shaken up. You can tell that she's not one that has experienced this level of mindless violence up close and personal, especially the fire. It keeps glinting in her eye, and you can see her gaze going there, and something not quite Urzuli peeking out.
Oh, shit. I try and look her in the eye. I'm gonna try and bring her focus back to reality, have her snap back. It's like, hey, focus on me, okay? Don't keep calm. We're gonna get through this, all right? Because I do not want her to start frenzying. That would probably be the worst possible thing to happen right now.
All right, that being the case, go ahead, roll your charisma and persuasion. Literally, I sacrifice my body for you. Okay, focus on me. Let's see how effective you are. And while that's happening, Hestia, you're skittering across the ceiling. You are not the only one. You, however, do seem to be one of the few who actually has full control of your faculties. It takes all of your skill to keep from falling away from the ceiling as one kindred runs over you as if you weren't actually there. You're not sure exactly, but you know what a fear frenzy response is. You haven't experienced many in your life, but the few you have has left death and destruction in your wake as you did everything you could to escape. And that seems to be what's happening with many of the kindred that manage to leap or otherwise skitter away. Unfortunately, from your vantage point, you see that the 4 in the main door and the 3 at the back door don't really seem to care. They're literally spraying in wide sweeping arcs, trying to hit as many things, people, and living and dead as they possibly can. What are you attempting to do?
And none of them fell in the basement. So what are they standing on that they didn't fall?
They're standing literally in the doorway. They're literally bodily standing exactly in the doorway, hurling grenades and spraying as if they hadn't bought stock in the company. The only thing standing left on that level is the stage area where Mama Walde was. You see 1, 2 kindred leaping up upon the stage, which is somehow supported by the girders and columns from underneath. 1 dark-haired kindred is dragging another up onto the stage and just barely out of sight of being clipped.
Is there anyone that seems more like a leader out of the group of shooters?
Yep, the gentleman with the fall hog at the door.
I'm gonna target him and extinguish Vitae.
Okay. You go ahead and roll that dice pool for me. Alexander, as you make it to the stage, you managed to pull 1 kindred who didn't immediately freak out on you onto the stage. Others have just fallen in. You hear orders barked from below, and the shooters seem to have every intention of causing as much carnage as possible. Clyde, I skipped you again. I'm sorry. It's reverse alphabet. I just can't pick you up.
Don't worry.
So you
He's using
rolled to say.
obfuscate on you. Said he's using obfuscate on you, and you just don't notice he's there.
Yes, the mind is forcing you to look away. You hear Simone barking orders. You see the bullets flying. They have not stopped throwing grenades yet. That's you kind of, since you fell and got to your feet and kept from being harmed in the fall, you've counted at least 5 other mini explosions going off not far from you, or just closer to the back of the room, or some in the middle of what was the room. the way out, there is a stairway that heads further down that Simone is trying to direct everybody towards, or at least told you guys to direct everybody towards. You see Lucio entangled with Urzuli, bringing her back to here and now, somehow, in their bodies and blood. Luckily, you completely sated yourself this evening. Otherwise, it would be a show worth having.
Sorry, me again, since
There we go.
I get a bit confused since... All right, do I...
Yeah, sorry about that.
Do I even know where an exit is?
There is a stairwell that leads further down. It would require you riding the few people who are in the way to get them further down and away from the shooters. You're not sure where those stairs exit out into, but it is further down.
Well, you know, I'm trying to... most of these people are regular people, right?
Yes, a good portion of them are actually humans who are affected by the bullets, who are affected by the grenade, more than just that instinctual animal fear.
Okay, I'm gonna scream while I'm walking everybody down the stairs. I'm gonna try to go down the stairs myself.
All right, so that being the case, go ahead and roll that charisma and persuasion to try to inspire them to actually follow your directions and your movement towards safety.
Well, that's just secondary. Main thing, I'm going downstairs.
Your movement is fairly free. You don't mind stepping on people to get away from the bullets and the explosions and not risk being driven into an animalistic frenzy. You've been there once. You don't want to go back. Alrighty. And Alexander, what are your actions? Most of the kindred here are freaking out because being this close to fire and explosions and knowing what they are, the beast inside has taken over. When making your leap toward the stage area, one of the few places that has not fallen in due to how it was built, you managed to pull with you another person. This person is actually a living person, just a kindred. They were nicked and scraped by shrapnel, but they are alive and not lost in the darkness and tumble of body limbs as the floor went from beneath them. What are you seeking to do?
So did you say that they were kindred?
They are human.
They are human. Okay. And they got shrapnel in their leg.
Mhm.
Can I try to ask them if they're okay and tend to their wound if they need that? If there's a quick way to do that, but if not, then
There's not a quick way to triage a person who is bleeding profusely without potentially summoning your beast if you attempt to do so under such stress. The gunfire, the explosions. It's the only
so
reason that the blood hasn't affected you as of yet.
yeah. In that case, is there a way? Do I have a clear path to any of the shooters?
To the shooters, a clear path. You could always try to make that leap from where you are to those at the back of the club. It should potentially be within your ability to make a leap. However, that definitely would make you a target. Right now,
Gotcha.
they're spraying indiscriminately and tossing grenades as if it's guaranteed to hit somebody anyway. So,
well, can I try to use my rapid reflexes to avoid getting hit, or there's just too many bullets for that to factor in at all?
rapid reflex would allow you to get close enough, but it would definitely make you a target by making that lead to it. You can attempt to take the stairs down wherever they lead beneath the stage, or you can attempt to go for the shooters and grenadiers who are bombarding all the humans and kindred who come here for a sense of enjoyment, fulfillment.
And from what I gather, it's not really a stealthy way to get to those grenadiers, is there?
There is not. Tactically, making a leap, making yourself a target may say keep them from shooting one or two people, but that would be about the only real benefit of doing so.
All right. So there's a set of stairs going down.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to carry the human I saved out of there through that.
All right, sounds like a plan. And moving back around, distinguish the Tay. And again, reverse alphabet here. Simone, Lucio, and Clyde are moving. What are you doing?
All right, now, did I reach the deeper shutter yet?
Yeah. The lights weren't really on down here, so being in shadow is not a problem. It's not even an issue. Being in shadow doesn't really stop them. They're literally just praying and spraying. They're not aiming at anyone just yet. No one's presented an actual target. They're kind of just shooting ducks in a barrel, literally.
Okay. I need them to. All right. Now, because I don't have super strength or anything like that, is it possible for me to jump up high enough where I can get eye level with all the shooters?
No.
Is there a way for me to get up to that area where they are?
Yes. There are stairs that lead to the stage, which is the only true portion of the floor you were just standing on that's still there.
I'm going to go up to there, and is it going to work or be terrible? Get up there, and when all of them are looking at me, I'm going to have dawn. Hopefully, I can intimidate them with self-throwing grenade.
Okay. Making your way toward the stairs that lead up to the stage, as people are pulling themselves out of the wreckage as fast as possible. You run into a kindred carrying a human over their shoulder. You know that they're kindred because not anybody else would be foolish enough to try such heroics in the middle of this chaos. Alexander, meet Simone. Simone, meet Alexander.
Try to get these people out of here. I'll deal with the shooter.
Alright. You sure you don't need any help?
I love some, but there's a lot of dead people and the numbers going up. So I'm buying everyone time.
Alright, I'll focus my effort on trying to evacuate people once I get this guy to safety.
Alright, Simone, go ahead, roll that down for me. And while you're rolling that, Lucio, your efforts to snap Perzuli out of whatever was coming over her actually are successful. And as she comes more fully into herself, you realize that it wasn't quite fear. It was something else. But it was definitely not her. Alright. That's so fucking annoying. Why can they use quiet bombs or whatever they're using? Let's get these people out of here. You're right, let's go.
Alright. I start trying to escort people to the stairway that was pointed out earlier.
Are you trying to make out any details? Or are you literally grabbing people, pushing people, trying to get people moving versus focus in on any details?
I think Lucio would be that kind of person, considering his natural investigative nature.
Okay. Do me a favor, roll intelligence and survival for me, please.
I'm good at one of those things.
Alright. That's far too many successes for your mind to not carve these images into its memory. The floor went out from beneath No one really paid. Most of the kindred really didn't pay attention. Most people of the kindred here were paying attention to the grenades and the fires that they caused and are causing. You in shuffling people or pushing people or trying to get people moving in that direction, as Clyde is kind of acting like the goat that leads the sheep to slaughter, as it were. Except for this time, the slaughter is safety, as he's picking his way across the floor, making it to those stairs which lead deeper and further away from this carnage. The image of people who have impaled themselves, the scent of cordite and shrapnel damage, which sent pieces of wood flying like flechettes into various orifices and chest cavities and legs and arms, and people who have splinters forearm long stuck in them. And these are the humans. The kindred, they have just as grievous injuries, except for there's no blood, thankfully. But because there is no blood, you're able to see just how much damage shrapnel can do when it misses the heart, or it perforates the bowels, or bits and pieces of metal, debris, and glass that pepper someone so much so that they look as if they are hedgehogs or porcupines. And the blood loss and the damage from the grenades and the random shots and bullets have forced some kindred actually into, you hope, just torpor. If they are hopefully old enough to turn to dust, at least you know that they're not dead. But if they're not, they really are as dead could be. I'm trying not to think on it overly much because that's a lot of work to try to attempt to cover up the presence of kindred. But you and Ursuli are nearly side by side, and you can see why people are attracted to her. Because for all of her crass vernacular, for all of her showmanship, there is an honest to goodness person that cares. She is pulling people along, getting them to their feet, pushing them as ardently as you are. She clearly actually cares underneath it all, underneath the glitz and the glam, the show, and the harsh, coarse language. There is someone there that actually cares. Outside of freeing people and memorizing the carnage, what is Lucio doing?
I'm not sure it's a good idea to start returning fire yet. I think clearing out the place first would be a good idea, but since we're on the subject of taking in details, I'd like to see if Lucio would be able to identify the kindred that are shooting at us.
Yes, you are able to identify the what looks to be the leader, or at least the one that sticks out the most. The gentleman with the fall hawk. You and Cameron met him not that long ago.
Oh no. It's him, isn't it?
It very much is.
What was his name again? Sorry.
Don't worry.
I know who you're talking about, I just don't remember his name.
Genghis.
Genghis, yeah, okay. Oh my god. Same person I delivered the invitations to and that we tried to interrogate about that missing girl, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And do I recognize the others as well? As like his friends and associates?
Not specifically. There's a similar look based on attire to two of the bodies that were in the Underdark underneath the succubus when you were there. The two, one of which Simone tried to save by pulling out a stake, but yeah, definitely in the same club, if you want to be so polite and not call it what it is.
Wait, I'm sorry, did you say that they were the ones down in the abyss?
Nope, dressed similar. They're wearing the same uniform of the same club, if you want to be polite, not call it a gang or a mob or a criminal enterprise. They're wearing the same outfit, the same symbol for their gang on their jackets. One had a knee patch with that symbol on it that they were wearing on their clothing.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that's all that Lucio would be doing at this time, is escorting other people to safety.
Alright, sounds like a plan. Hestia, your attempt to summon up the dark forces, the magic of your blood, are successful. Not only are they successful, they are deadly. Extinguishing his vitae, you see the heat waver over his head. He drops his gun and he leaps into the pile of humans who had fallen prey to the floor, exploding beneath him. Unfortunately, as low as he is overcome by that bloodlust that comes from being on the point of starvation. He intends to rip, tear, and drain everything he can until he is satiated. You know the demands of the beast. Even your well-controlled and well-leashed beast, when loosed, is a terror to behold. He clearly has not bothered restraining his beast. He clearly has no intentions of doing so. What are you doing?
Okay, sorry about that. As unfortunate as that situation is of him letting him loose, if he's busy feeding, he's not shooting. And he's their leader, so I don't know whether that gives them pause or makes them concerned at all. Maybe makes them a target because he's frenzying, so maybe he falls upon them. I don't know. But it gives him, I guess, maybe a distraction. I'm still working my way across the ceiling, kind of avoiding most of the people I can. But I know I need to clear that door somehow, so I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to do that. I don't know if I want to turn another frenzied vampire loose. Is there... I know you said there were like pieces of glass or things like, being blown up. Is there anything on the ceiling or the wall that I might be able to use like a weapon?
No, unfortunately not, but there's a skylight that you almost fall through. It's been painted over, so you didn't see it at first. However, there is a skylight literally right there. You can fall through.
I break the skylight. I always carry my blade on me, so I take the back of the blade and break the skylight out, and yell for the others, "Here's an escape," and get out of their way.
Okay, how do you get out of their way? Do you crawl through? Do you just move further across the ceiling?
I'm not leaving without my buttery mates. I at least need to know where they are, so I'm not leaving without them.
Okay. So you move further across the ceiling, moving closer over their head, making yourself a harder shot to take a shot at, just in case they just have to spray up.
Correct, yeah. Because if they have to aim up, they're probably going to hit themselves in the process, or hit each other in the process.
Okay. Clyde, the stairs lead down into a stone sub-basement. You've been in enough basements over the course of your career to know that this is not necessarily a good thing. There's a difference between brick and stone. One, the sheer amount of moisture that it can hold, and two, the age when people stopped using stone for basements and wine cellars. A feeling as you've been here before falls over you. Deja vu is very, very real. Would you go ahead and roll your resolve and aspects for me, Clyde?
Sure. Resolve and aspects?
Yes, sir.
Let me check.
Alright, so there are places in the world where the walls between this world and all of the others are thin. Places where the very real roads, lines, and rivers of supernatural energy pooled together, forming these lakes, these nests. Some people call them ley line nexuses. Call them thinning. Some people call them cairns. Some people call them nodes. Whatever language you choose to call them, they are the places where the mystical energy of the world meet and meld. And this, without a shadow of a doubt, is one such place. It's the reason why you felt that sense of deja vu. You've been in these places before. You've investigated these places when human and didn't know what they were, but having just recently spent over 4 months over the course of one night in one location, you know very much what this could be or could become. But someone played the light bill because it's well lit, or it's decently enough lit where you can clearly see that the hallway that you're in stretches on for about 45 feet, then splits into a T going both left and right.
How much people is down here?
The ones that have survived out of the total accommodation of 200 kind and kindred, there's roughly about 125 who are left living.
Okay.
And that number's going down by the second.
Well, I haven't even had time to replenish my flares. Well, I want to do some premonition if I can.
You think about doing a premonition and you immediately feel there's a tall, dark woman. Her hair stretches just below her buttocks. She rarely wears clothing. This is one of her places where she alights, where she rests, where she enjoys being free. This is a doorway. On the other side of that doorway, somewhere further in, is her abode. You do not want to go to her abode. You see her munching down not on just you, but the entirety of all that you will be and have ever been.
So am I at the front, in the middle?
You're at the front. You're at the front of. You can hear Urzuli pushing people between explosions. It's a massive explosion causing the space to rock, a little bit of dust to go flying, and you can hear her yelling, "Follow him! Go! Get y'all asses up! Let's go! We can't sit it."
Series of things. First, I'm gonna try to find the biggest people around here, and then I'm gonna tell them like stop and wait for it. So try to stop the avalanche of people, which I know it's kind of madness. Well, what are you gonna do? And if they don't listen, I'm gonna try to spend some blood for the largest people to help me to. You know what? Is there any kindred around me?
High or low?
Low.
Yes. Yes, there are.
And so
It's your primogen.
I'm gonna start screaming.
Clyde?
Ancient.
What are you doing here?
There's an ancient down the.
You didn't make the last few sessions. Make the last group sessions. Are you okay?
Oh,
Clearly
no.
not now, but are you better?
Sorry, what's his name?
Jason.
Jason, not now. There's an ancient down the tunnel, and I think we are being herded that way.
Well, if you were here by yourself, I'm sure that'd be a problem. There's no way that anyone that's strong enough to survive all of that can match up to all of us. Together, we are stronger than any one of us.
All right, let's get
Just stay with
together.
Just stay with the group. Don't get picked off. Remember, that's the number one rule in movies. Don't separate. Because if we separate, we're no longer stronger as we are together. But after you, lead the way.
All right. In that case, well, just cover your nose and jump in.
You know, I'm going to take as a sign. I came here because I heard that the disco was such a lovely evening, and I wanted to try to make amends for some of my harsh feelings when it came to the people who accosted me and caused a lot of bad feelings. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to take my own advice. This is what happens when I try to be better. Would you take that as a sign?
I'm gonna say, don't worry, disco sucks, but I think that this is not the place to make therapy, so have therapy. So does anybody have fire?
It's a good thing to make the best of our situation, and it's not fire per se, but it should provide enough light for us. And he pulls out a Zippo out of his pocket. On the Zippo carved in is a name, Neon.
I guess that's something. All right. Let's go upwards and what is it? Forward
Onward?
and upwards. Yeah.
Okay, that works. As long as we get away from the bullets, I'm really not enjoying that. Alexander, you get the person on your shoulder downstairs and past the gentleman who was on his way up. Lucio, how would you best describe yourself?
Tall, dark, and handsome.
Okay. Alexander, there's a tall, dark, and handsome gentleman who is with a wild-haired, Latinx beauty, shuffling and pushing and trying to command people to move further into the basement, following the line of others who are limping along. The tall, wild-haired Latinx, is the indefatigable Urzuli, and to say that her mouth is filthy would be an understatement. She get y'all asses up. Let's go. I'm not paying for anyone's outfit that gets ruined by bullets, nor explosions, nor shrapnel. Move. We have to get out of here. Let's go, people. Motherfuckers, if y'all don't move. And Lucio, who's not quite as foul-mouthed, is also urging people onward. What are you doing?
Can I try to hand off the body on my shoulder to one of the people running out? Tell them to get them to a hospital or something?
Most assuredly. You can always, people tend to take what they're given without thinking.
All right.
Especially in a panic, stress situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that and tell them, try to find the big guy to carry this dude and tell him, get this guy to a hospital. He's got shit in his leg. And these two seem to have some confidence in what they're doing and seem to have clear heads, so I'm gonna ask if there's anything I can do to help.
Lucio. Urzuli heard more focused on getting people out before actually addressing him. What are you doing? The young Master Alexander, who has fireman carried one of the people who managed to not be grievously injured and wounded and nearly dead from all of this carnage. He has rescued them as fast as possible and has handed them off to one of the others who are further along, moving into that stairway down. What are you doing? What are you doing in response to him asking to lend a hand?
Before I decide, how many people are left out in the open? Like, how many people need to be rescued?
Still living? About 35 to 40. Near dead? About 20.
And those guys are still shooting at us, right?
Mm-hmm. They are just about out. As you look around and try to survey the situation, you hear 2 feet planned. And the only reason why you're sure that it's 2 feet, because in that flickering distance between the darkness of down here and the light of up there and the gunfire, you see Fallhawk, who leaped down into this space. Unfortunately, he has no care of whom he leaped on, and the person he leaped on wasn't quite deceased, and is immediately met by his fangs.
Alright, I turn to Alexander. I say, you take over my job, and I pull out the 357. I'm about to bust this guy's fucking head open, and I take a shot.
Okay.
I think it's about time I return fire.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Go ahead, roll the dexterity and fire, unless of course you're going to bother to aim.
Oh, I am aiming.
All right. So we're going to lose 2 successes, and once you give that a quick roll, and you can give that a roll whenever you are ready.
It's resolve and firearms, right? If I'm aiming.
Yes.
You said at least 2, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. The shot hits mid-feeding, catches attention, but the thing that is riding him now, as if he's the last boat out of China, is focused on blood. The bullet does nothing but annoy it and immediately starts sealing. You did a grand total of what would amount to 6 bashing damage. And as the hole tears into his chest, tearing through lung, bone, and shoulder blade, he starts sealing as he drains this person like a hoover in front of your eyes. The blood almost explodes into his mouth, leaking out the sides. His eyes, even in this darkness, are completely red, refracting and reflecting what little light there is. You have seen the effects of your beast on others around you. You've never honestly seen someone who is so firmly in the grasp of their beast. You have his attention. Alexander, you hear and see this. Simone, you target them with Daunt. At the moment that you catch their feeling, their senses, you recognize the gentleman who is leading, the Fallhawk gentleman at the lead of these people. And then he is gone into the darkness of the floor beneath you. The others are still shooting. You can see some bit of recognition in them as you hit Daunt. The symbols on their jackets are you've seen before. The willingness to cause harm you've seen hundreds of times. But any vampire worth their salt knows that unless of course it's a kill shot the first time, guns don't do anything to the skilled kindred except for piss them off. What are you going to do?
How many were affected by Dawn?
The leader who leaped downstairs.
Okay, so he's the only one.
He's the only one close enough to feel the full effect of it.
Are they still chucking grenades?
Not as quickly. They're almost out of their stock. They've already exhausted 15. Roughly about 5, 6 left.
Okay. Can I reach them from where I'm at?
You pick up one. You can tear a floorboard out, throw it. That's within your distance. It's within your range. You don't have any firearms.
Yeah.
You
This would be a great time to get a firearm, though. Okay. I will grab a bit of. How much? Actually, you know what? Alright, I'm going to try this instead. Actually, no. Yeah, I'll pick up a piece of floorboard and throw it.
Dexterity melee. Are you aiming?
The guy who, out of all the people who are praying and spraying, do any of them look like they have even the slightest bit of skill, or are they just really just kid and new toys for spraying?
Oh, well, they have enough clips that they literally just want to see the bodies hit the floor. There's the song playing in your head, despite yourself, as they are clearly trying to further the carnage. Because after a certain point, no matter how tough you are, if you take enough damage as a kindred, that little monster in the back of your head is going to come to the surface, which is going to make matters completely and totally worse.
any recognition of these guys besides them being just all color coordinated? Anything like have I seen those symbols around the city?
Around the city? No. At the succubus? Yes.
Okay. All right. One of the grenadiers, considering they're not going as fast, I'm gonna try to time it so that when they before they throw the grenade, I'm gonna hit that guy with the board.
All right. Go ahead, roll that dexterity and melee for me. All right. Lucia, we're gonna bypass you for a quick second. Hestia, you see Simone on the stage throwing wood. He's just slinging wood.
Well, from what I know of Simone, it seems on par for who he is. But I'm glad to see he's okay. So I focus on that, and with Fohawk being out of sight for me, are the people that were on the ceiling and walls moving towards where I told them the skylight was, or safety at all? What else? Okay. Oh, I take a piece of broken glass from me breaking out the skylight, and I run it across my palm and put Scorpion's touch on it, because I'm gonna throw it.
Okay, it's not a aerodynamic weapon. So go ahead, roll your dexterity and melee to throw the glass at your target, whichever one that is. Lose one die and give it a shot. Then roll for the effect of Scorpion's touch.
Okay, because I'm like right above their head, so it's more like kind of dropping it with force than throwing it. But what do I need to roll?
Dexterity and melee.
See, I told you I needed melee. You wouldn't let me take.
Clyde stepped away for a split second as you lead everyone further in. Alexander, you see the gentleman you're speaking with, Lucio, tell you to help Erzuli. He whips out a hand cannon. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is a gun that you would see on a movie. It is as large as a Cassell. It is as accurate as a rifle. And he aims at another kindred back in the pile of bodies, rushing through it, or seeming to rush through it, and fires. The shot's slightly askew and tears through the kindred's chest. But the moment that it hits, he starts to heal. You've seen this before.
This is known as a frenzy, and when kindred enter into frenzy, the one thing that's guaranteed is that things die.
What are you doing?
All right, well, I know Lucio told me to take up his job of helping that lady escort people out of here, but it looks like she has it under control. And that kindred frenzying is probably higher on my list of priorities right now. So I'm gonna, if I can, try to run at him and tackle him and pin him to the ground.
Okay. It's a very valiant effort. That's going to be strength and brawl. Give that a good roll.
Do I add a dot for a grappling specialty?
You have a grappling specialty? If you get a success, you're just gonna. If you get 3 successes, you're just gonna add an additional success because you pretty much tackling him. The grapple will come once you actually hit him.
Gotcha.
All right. Several things happen at once, as they tend to do in situations such as this. You all hear screams. Well, Lucio, Alexander, and Erzuli hear screams coming from the stairwell leading down. When those screams erupt, the frenzied beast that was once Genghis is tackled by Alexander as Lucio fires again. As Lucio is firing, because I know that's what's on his mind, The shard of glass dropped from Hestia connects with the grenadier that is struck by Simone's wooden board. Simone's wooden board in his flinging of, let's say it as dirty as possible. In slinging his wood, Simone manages to pierce the gentleman's chest cavity, very close to the heart. Not quite a dead on, but very, very close. And as the shards of glass rain down on the pained Kindred, the grenade that he's holding in his hand drops free. As it drops free, rolling against his boot, it goes off. The three Kindred that were by the door that would have taken out King Genghis with them go flying into the darkness. Well, two into the darkness, two back out into the world at large, covered in concussive and shrapnel damage. The three at the back door, who have just about exhausted their stockpile of grenades and most of their clips, see that the situation has grown untenable, and they hear the screams and the carnage and the explosions, and they exercise the better part of valor. They beat feet, and the amateurish excellence that they have upheld shows itself, as instead of covering each other on their way away, they literally take off running. The injured by the door from the grenades, blown as they were, one lands a foot and a half away from Alexander and Genghis, who are struggling to not allow Genghis to connect with his fangs. And Lucio, your target of opportunity has tripled. There are now 3 injured, angry Kindred that are not friends or associates that you know down here with you, Alexander, and the last few Kindred who have not made it into the Hall of Horrors. And it is 40 after the hour. Let's take a quick 10. So I will see you guys back here in 10 minutes. So 50 after the hour, okay?
Sounds good.
Sure.
Sorry for the minute delay, folks. Everyone back?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm here.
All right, sounds like a plan. So when we last stepped away for a quick nature break, so the 3 at the back door have put knees to elbows and are racing away from the scene. There are 3 less than happy Kindred in the basement area, some smashed by wood, but they're still unfortunately conscious, which has given their beasts all the time in the world to make themselves known. Alexander, you're wrestling with Genghis and doing a very, very good job of keeping his fangs from embedding themselves into your flesh and from him further draining anything else moving. Lucio, unfortunately, that leaves you a very slim shot at hitting Genghis without potentially causing collateral damage, but the other 2 are slowly making their way to their feet. Everyone, thanks to the demolished ruin of the floor, except for Clyde, who was in the stairwell entering into the maze that lies beneath the club, can see this situation. To your right is a frenzied Kindred Arthur. To your left is a frenzied Kindred getting to their feet, and beneath your grasp is the chief frenzied Kindred, who is far stronger than he should be. You have him by roughly about 1.5 inches, maybe 2, and about 60 pounds of weight, and yet it is taking your full concentration and much of your training to keep him pinned. Starting in alphabetical order, what are we doing?
Okay, Can I yell for Lucio to come up like point blank and try to put a few shots in this guy's brain so he doesn't
Yes, you can.
risk shooting me?
All right. Go right ahead.
Alright, yeah, hey, tall, dark, and handsome. Why don't you try putting your barrel to his temple so that you don't risk blowing a few more holes than I need to have.
Gladly.
All right, Lucio, you and Alexander are moving in concert. There is a kindred connect to their feet to your right, and a kindred to the left of Alexander as you close in to place your gun against Genghis's forehead. Are you concentrating on Genghis, or are you going to deviate from your established plan?
How many are also there?
There's one to your right, and there's one to the left of Alexander, who is to your left.
I should probably deal with them first, because otherwise they're gonna kill me. So, adding on to what I said to Alexander, but first let me deal with these two.
Just so that you guys are aware, they are at 3 health levels thus far.
Alright, but don't take too long. This guy's a lot stronger than he looks.
Alright, so let's go ahead and make your actions with him.
Yeah, I'd like to shoot the two that are flanking me.
Alright, so one after the other, or you're gonna make one single roll?
One after the other.
Make your first action.
Resolve, right?
Yep. If you're aiming single mass, or you can do a clearing spray. Shoot from the hip.
Center of mass.
Alright, make it happen. Alright. Oh, for your hunger. What's your actions? Okay, not a problem. And go ahead and roll your second. Keep the rolls maybe. And while you're doing that, Clyde, at the forefront of the caravan, as it were, you can still hear Urzuli trying to spur people on, trying to instill the need to get the hell away from whatever this is, this carnage, this hellscape, this sheer madness. She, of course, is using far more colorful language. You can hear him trailing up from back the end of the caravan. And right or left, Clyde?
Left. Hello. Yep, left.
As you turn left, Zippo held a little high. There's a cool breeze flowing through the stonework ahead of you. And while the Zippo does cast enough light for you to see farther ahead than you did previously in a similar situation, the unnerving jackal-like yip of a howl that's carried on that wind gives you a big case of the noobs. There is a definite flagging of your internal bravery. There's no reason for a coyote or a wolf or a dog or anything living to be down here. Even to your dead flesh, there is the feel of a cool, moist breeze on your skin. Newberry is smiling, nodding, and giving you all the encouragement you possibly can in a situation like this, being you shut down his attempts to conduct a small therapy section. Do you continue?
Alright, let's try right.
So you get everybody bundled and tell them to back up so you can go the other direction?
I'm gonna tell them wait here. Let me check the other side. Let's see what happens.
Newberry is on your hip as he has seemed to attach himself. As you all hit the end of the hall going right, that yipping howl is far closer, and you hear screams, and people start running past you, climbing over you, and doing everything they can to get away from whatever it is that is down here. Whatever it is that is down here is roughly a 9-foot tall, very hairy, darkly haired creature, long of snout, long of claw, and it is suddenly there amongst the group of you. Its arms flashing out, its teeth gnashing down, and it's missing most of the humans. It is hitting the majority of the kindred. It is swing, check the shot, shoulder blockers, bite down on the nearest non-living person. It snarls, echoing off the stone around you. What is it that you do?
Where are the gangrel when you need one? So approximately how many vampires are down here?
There are more than you can quickly count. There are roughly right at 60 to 100 in the room upstairs. Now that is roughly about 30 to 40. Oops, sorry. He already made his attack. So, well, she already made her attack. So take that 30 to 40 down to about 20 to 25, and dropping nearly every second.
Well, one of two things. So, is the tunnel very high?
Yes. It's easily 15 feet to the ceiling. It is wide enough that
I was gonna try
four of you guys can stand shoulder to shoulder.
I was gonna try to make a human shield.
Well, that's definitely one used for mankind.
Well, in that case, I think there's not much other than run. Running back the other way.
Okay, so you're gonna try and slip past the wolf and get past it and continue running, or you're gonna try and slip past it and get up the stairs, back up the stairs.
You know what? Can I try to? Well, I don't know if this will work. Can I try to tell the? So, I was kind of reading. If you ride the what's it called? The level 3 aspects. They don't know you are in their heads, right?
For Auspics, share the senses is what you're. Some people might if they have a high enough Auspics themselves, but most people without either Auspics or Dominate would not really notice that you're there.
No, I was gonna try to distract the thing with all the voices in my head, but in that case, obviously not. All right, run, run the other way.
Okay. Are you gonna try to get past it and continue down that left corridor, or are you gonna try to get past it and run up the stairs? Or are you gonna turn around and run?
Nope. Turn around and run.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Go ahead and give me a Dex and Athletics. I will. Your feet start to stumble, and you know without a shadow of a doubt that just realistically, when outrunning a bear, it's not being faster than the bear that you need. You just need to be faster than the person next to you. Fortunately for you, the person next to you is Newberry, and as you start to stumble to become potential food for whatever that beast is, he actually slips his arm into yours, reducing his successes to 3 and your successes to 2 as he drags you along behind him. That would not be good form, leaving one of you guys to be eaten by that thing. You know, the last time those things popped up in Chicago, we lost a prince. Let's go.
I'm trying, Mike.
Hessian. Success comes in many, many different flavors, and they all taste pretty damn good. Even if you don't like Rocky Road, it's still ice cream after all. As the shard hits the grenadier and he and his associate go flying, and the other two go flying out the door, the reality of the situation sets in. There's Lucio in between 2 other kindred that were blown down there and grievously injured by fire. So they are frenzied, and he is in the thick of it all. You can vaguely hear Urzuli's voice echoing off stone, along with the sounds of snarls and a yipping howl. Simone is on the stage, which means he's basically safe now, but the others at the back door have started to beat feet. What is it you're deciding to do?
So many bad things. Shoot. So, do I pretty much know what the sound of that howling means?
I will leave that up to you. What would you think it would be? It sounds of howls echoing off stone.
Yeah, I think I would know what that means. I mean, supposedly they don't exist anymore, but I never believed that. What I'm gonna try and do is get above the two vampires that are keeping Lucio from getting away or being safe. Take out my spelled blade and just drop from the ceiling. Blade out.
Okay. That's not dynamic at all. Oh, all right. Well, that's. Go ahead and give me a roll when you get a chance, and see what it is. All right. So, when you get that roll from your back. Simone, everything that was just described for Hester, you are aware of. What are you choosing?
All right. How many gunmen shooting down?
None. There are no gunmen shooting into the basement. Most of the movement down there is literally Lucio, the gentleman you passed on the stairs, and a speeding bullet from the ceiling moving into the darkness. It literally looks as if someone is Superman diving into the darkness of the basement.
Okay, and by my count, there's only 3 Phrygian vampires down there, right?
Imagine, the best way to imagine a Phrygian vampire, you know how skilled you are at the physical. Imagine that being unleashed with no care as to who gets harmed in the collateral or the actual actions. That's what a Phrygian vampire is. It is your unbridled rage, willing to use all of your physical skills and attributes to accomplish its goal of draining the world of blood.
Okay. I hold my action for a second to see what that thing that fell out the sky is. And then once I see what it is and what it's doing, that's when I'm going to begin my action. And my action is to actually, if both of the other targets are both being engaged, then I'm just going to drop down. But if one of the targets are left, I'm going to actually body tackle that one.
All right, Hess. High is your left, low is your right.
We're going to be a point very pro-crime.
All right, so your left is Lucio's right, so you both hit that Kindred as he wheels and fires over Arthur at the one to Alexander's left. These things, as many situations, seem to be happening nearly all at once. You land knife out so that's 4 lethal, which we are just going to change to 2 ag because of distance, weight, and the fact that he was already shot by Lucio. You send a Kindred to hell. There's no ifs about the Kindred soul does not really go much of anywhere. It's kicked out of the circle of life and death, so it doesn't go into the oblivion of beyond. It just is shunted from reality as far as anyone else is aware, as far as anyone knows. Wherever that is where the Kindred, the first frenzy Kindred from Indiana that Lucio shot, is headed. It doesn't turn quite to dust, but in the matter of seconds from the moment that your blade slashes through what was left of him from Lucio's shot, immediately turns into the Crypt Keeper. He looks like beef jerky. His corpse is suddenly just moist enough to have skin still be there, but it's completely devoid of any other semblance of muscle mass or eye sockets. Its hair sliding from its skin as it falls back into nothingness. However, the other kid on the other side of Alexander, the shot is mostly grazing, and he stands and is closing on Alexander, Lucio, and yourself. Alexander, the Kindred on your left and starts to close in as you wrestle with the Genghis.
Since I got my hands a bit full, like literally. Is Lucio too busy to cover me?
Yeah, he's whirling the fire at him, but it was a glancing shot, not to put him down or stop him from encroaching.
The Kindred I'm wrestling with, does he have hair?
Yes, he has a fall hawk. It's not a complete fall
Alright.
hawk, but only his hair is shorter.
Would it be possible for me to try to grab a hold of his hair and then start smashing his face into the ground to try to get him to stop trying to destroy everything around him?
When in doubt, the maximum amount of violence should always calm anyone down. Give that a roll. That would be your strength and brawl.
At least send him into torpor, you know? So should I just roll brawl again?
Yep, strength and brawl. Don't forget your hunger.
Alright.
Alright, so you grab Genghis's head and begin to ram it into the floor repeatedly. Lucio is firing over your shoulder as the other kindred on your left is closing quickly. Genghis' eyes rolls into the back of his head, and his eyes are no longer red. It's clear that the animating force of the beast is running out of steam. It's still there, but just barely, because the arms are still flailing. He's still trying to absently close his jaws, and there's a blur on your left, blur of motion that causes you to almost let go of Genghis. Lucio, your shot goes slightly askew, and only because you pulled it at the last second. Hestia, you look past Lucio and see that the kindred that was there is replaced by Simone's back. He has a distinctive back, plus not many kindred dress quite the way that he does. Your tackle was good, not great. Unfortunately, tackling doesn't really do complete damage unless, of course, you tackle someone into something else, Simone. So he is still very much active. Are you going to attempt to hold him still, or are you going to try something else? You all are also aware of this, Lucio, Hestia, Alexander.
No, actually, I'm gonna grab from my calf, gonna pull out my blade, the silver edge blade, and just slash it through. That should pretty much put him down.
Alright, dexterity, Emily. Alright. There are moments when violence can be like cross-cutting a forest fire. You burn down a little bit of the forest to keep the fire from taking all of the forest. That's usually reflected in people giving folks in the middle of hysteria a quick slap or a shake to bring them down. When bringing a kindred out of frenzy, there are very few things that actually work to help. Usually torpor is one's best hope, and to drive a kindred into torpor typically requires a good deal of unbridled savagery of one's own variety or a well-placed stake. Despite all the wood shrapnel around you all and the remnants of the destruction from the wild boys' pray and spray method of extermination, Simone does not deign himself necessary to grab one of the wood pieces, which are too small to actually stake a vampire or to force him back into a wood pile. No, in a small matter of seconds, due to Simone's natural celerity, his natural speed, he whips out a blade half as long as his forearm from his calf and begins slashing the vampire from ear to ear repeatedly. But when he's done and he's slightly breathing heavy, because even without completely having been successful at summoning the blood for a blush of life, he's breathing a little bit, almost absent-mindedly, and he's breathing heavily as the kindred, who was formerly known as a frenzied mad gunman, head lolls back on his shoulder, connected by the thinnest sliver of his vertebrae, like a pest dispenser. Opened too many times where the spring finally popped.
Drop the body. Turn toward Genghis.
The lights are on, no one's home. The beast has run away with what semblance of sanity he has left, and he's lolling in Alexander's hands, who, in his attempt to calm the frenzy of the vampire beneath him, decided to beat him into torpor with his own head.
That works. Flicking the blade to get the blood off. Put it back in shape.
Clyde, you and Newberry have made it roughly a block, and there's still no signs of exit. Each turn, right, left, right, seems to bring you back to this hall from behind the beast, which is ravenously tearing through the kindred that are in the hall. There were 25 when you left. There are now 6. One of them being Razuli, the other Walding, and a few others that you didn't get their name. You're kind of glad you didn't at this point because the beast doesn't seem to show signs of slowing down. Mawalde is trying to force Kindred to run. Some are losing themselves to a madness. It's unbecoming that they can allow their insanity to take over in a moment like this.
Am I on the back of the
Yes.
I assuming werewolf?
Yes, you are.
Well, let's keep on going because my character is not remotely capable of doing anything with this thing. Let's keep on going down the tunnel.
Okay. Hestia, the snarls coming from down in their stairwell, they haven't quieted it, but the screams have. They're not quite as many voices screaming in response to the snarls. You know for a fact there's a few others just go down those stairs to escape the gunfire and the grenades.
Oh, there are many colorful curses in several languages spilling from my lips. Those around me that probably don't speak those languages but maybe pick out a effing werewolves mixed in there. I looked to Simone and Lucio because I don't know this new person. I said Clyde and Razuli are down there. I'm not leaving without them. I don't care what it is I have to kill tonight. I'm going to get them. Are you coming or not? And I start marching for the stairs.
The 3 kindred that we were fighting, are they all dead?
They are all down. The one that was on your right is completely dead. The one beneath Alexander's hands is in torpor, and the other is in that very thin sliver of don't breathe on him, otherwise he is going to be completely dead, thanks to Simone.
Simone, what should we do with Genghis? We gotta get out of here, but I don't know if we can just leave this guy here. If he gets up, he might continue this fight.
You know that guy?
He broke up a little bit, Simone.
He looks down. I don't think he's going to be a problem. Do you know the new guy?
No, but he was willing to help, so I think he's pretty cool.
Alright, well, let's get down there and not have Hestia die.
Alright.
Do you guys have a van outside that I can carry this guy to? He sounds important to y'all.
There's a Lincoln up there. Put him in the trunk. Toss him my keys.
Alright, I'm gonna go do that and then come back in here to see what I can do to help you guys with whatever's going on downstairs.
You hear a woman scream, cut short by what sounds like tearing fabric Kindred as strong as Genghis probably would, upon entering torpor, be there at least a week, perhaps a year, without needing to be back existence, consciousness, day in and day out life. Having beat him sufficiently into torpor, you're pretty sure that he won't be going much of anywhere. You can coat check him, hang one of the rafters that are still left, or leave him where he is and just come back. Unless, of course, you really wanted to lead the 5 kindred that are left.
I'm sorry, you cut out for a bit there. Did you say something that was directed to me?
Yeah, Genghis isn't going anywhere. You can always come back and get him. There were 20, 25 kindred. Then there were 10. Then there were 6. There are now 5, and that's just in the matter of seconds it's taken Hestia to begin walking in that direction. Are you going to take Genghis upstairs, or are you going to try to help these guys? Whatever that monster is.
I want to get the opportunity for at least someone to interrogate him later, but if he's really not going anywhere, I can come back and get him after I help with what sounds like a very immediate threat.
Yeah, Topper won't allow him to go anywhere. He's not going to just pop up and walk away. Topper is typically not something that you shake off.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back and get this guy later after we deal with the monster in the basement.
Oh yeah, and there is definitely a monster in the basement. And then you have the other hairy guy that's down there too, but that's another matter entirely. Hestia, you started walking away first, followed by Simone, Lucio, and then Alexander. Yes, Clyde and Erzuli are down there. As you attempt to make your way past the humans, clearly human, based on the simple fact that they're bleeding profusely and leaking fluids, and their clothes are sticking to them, and there is an honest-to-God fear that is upon them so thick and thorough that they are frozen where they are. Oh my God, I can't believe someone had a bear in here. Someone bring out your cell phone. Someone call the police. Call animal control. We are fucked. What's your hunger at, Hestia?
I'm at a 1. I made sure to feed tonight.
So it doesn't immediately trigger your beast, and this much free blood laced with fear, it's the equivalent of grilling chicken breast and thighs and making a chicken salad with just the correct amount of seasoning. You're not really hungry, but you could eat.
Basically, normally being small and unnoticed, I stop in the middle of the humans and shout as loud as I can, "Shut the hell up. Safety is that way," and I point back towards the basement. There are no more shooters, and then I keep going.
In a matter of 3 nights, you've seen so many different sides of Hestia that people are different, to say the least, as people begin to kind of raise eyebrows, and somehow seeing a small-ish woman begin giving orders with such authority doesn't quite break the fear, but it does move it back from the surface of every waking moment for a second, as it settles in that there just might be a way out of this. And they kind of look toward the stairs where you guys are coming down, and forward towards, that's definitely not normal. That's definitely not a bear, even though that's what you've heard. Bear, you've heard wild boar, you heard how did an owl get that big, which caught you off guard for a second. Being a creature of the night, the delirium does not affect you in the same way. It does affect you. It does. There is a rising tide of, I shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be here. What the fuck is that? You've heard stories. You've never seen one up close. It is 9 feet of muscled, hairy, mangy fury. Its fur would be black if not for all of the moss and bacteria stuck to its fur as its tearing into one kindred. One of the people you saw upstairs tried to fight it by putting its body in the way. It bit through its arm in one bite and continued slashing until that kindred stopped being kindred. And Hestia is marching towards it. What are you doing?
I'm assuming Hestia knows she's going towards it, right? Right? Hestia?
During the tirade back in the basement, you heard her very clearly say werewolf, so she knows very clearly what this is, but does not give one particular F right now because her friends are in trouble and she needs to go get them. She has had enough of people trying to kill her friends, so this has been the limit of her ask. So now, with a spelled blade coated in her own poisonous blood, she is going to handle this.
Hestia, that's a very bad idea. Please don't do this. Oh. After I say that, I just say, oh god damn it, and I'm gonna activate Unseen Passage and try and either observe or sneak around the thing in case Hestia needs backup. But I am not getting on that thing's shit list right away. If I can take it by surprise, then maybe we will have a chance if Hestia decides to actually fight it. But I will go ahead and do that rouse check for Unseen Passage.
Alexander. The beast is all the hoary summation of man's fear of the dark. That monstrosity is 9 feet of muscle and mane and fur. It is bitten through bone in one bite, and Hestia is marching directly towards it. What are you all doing? Now remember, Hestia barely breaks 5 feet.
How is it attached to the wall?
It's not attached to the wall. It is in the center of the hallway, bowling through the kindred that are left. You knew that there were clearly more than 4 kindred when you began mounting your counterattack against the gunmen and grenadiers. There are 3.5 kindred left now.
Oh, lovely.
3.5.
Go on, Alexander, right? Go ahead.
Why?
I draw my blade because I know this is
Wolverine.
gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So I draw my blade, and I actually increase my pace so that I am in front of Hestia because it's gonna happen. And I wait for the bear to make its next move.
All right, Alexander, what are you doing?
How big is this hallway that's in the center of?
15 feet tall and easily 10, maybe 12 feet wide.
What about the size of the lupine in comparison to the hallway?
It gets a 3/4 swing. It can't fully extend itself from each side, so it starts a little closer to the chest, and it can swing its arm completely out, forwards and backwards, but that arc from side in is where it gets caught up.
So there's very little possibility to flank this thing.
Little, but not impossible.
Okay. Actually, can I try to run and like slide under it?
Yes, you can. Dexterity, athletics.
Alright.
Hollywood has gotten a lot right about the supernatural world, at least in a caricature of itself. One of the things that it never gets right about creatures like this, and the supernatural world is that very much part of that world is natural, which means the physiology of fauna still exists. So in a case such as this, when there's a muscular 9-foot tall female werewolf, there are still various physical expressions that get in the way of swings and cause a lower stance or cause just the way that things flow. As you run and slide, the up close and personal image of that hits you directly in the eye, causing a miscue in terms of it stepping forward. So you end up smacking into its knee as it notices you, Simone, Hestia, as fresher targets. Verzulius next on its list, and its blow is checked as it turns and tries to bite down on your failed attempt to slide between its legs. Being as close as you are, Alexander, you are aware that it is grievously wounded. There are scars beneath the mold and moss and the clinging fur, wounds upon wounds. It looks as if it has been through hell, and being this close does not make it smell any better. It goes to clomp down on you in an attempt to bite your head off as you would chomp down on a lollipop.
Wolverine versus.
What are you doing? Are you going to take that? Or are you going to dodge that?
Can I try to preempt that by... I feel like I'm in a good position to punch it as hard as I can right between the legs.
Alright. Dexterity and brawl. Hestia. Simone is suddenly there in front of you. Not impeding your path, but literally throwing his body in front of you and between the beast. In doing so, you're able to see around his side as Alexander goes running past you and smacks against the beast's knee as it turns towards you. It's going to bite his head off. As much you know. Simone, you see this as well. Lucio, from your position slightly back and no longer visible, you see much the same. What are you doing?
Who's it trying to bite?
Alexander.
Alright, 357 Magnum, because that's all I can do right now. I'm taking aim at the werewolf. It's time to piss it off.
You don't want to do a mercy killing and shoot Alexander, put him out of his misery before it bites down on it?
No, I think...
That's a joke.
I think I'd like to... Well, I mean, when you think about it, it's not that bad of an idea. I'm kidding. Alright. Taking aim, so it'll be resolve. Wish me luck for Alexander's sake.
Simone, you see about to end Alexander's life. What are you doing?
Hold the phone, Hestia. I'll be right with you. Right the knee lift into the lycanthrope facial nasal region. I'm gonna try to knock down contact with a sudden shock.
All right, dexterity and brawl, or are you using your knife? Oh, you say your knee. So dexterity and brawl. Hestia, you see all of this happening. What are you doing?
Very first thing is roll my eyes. But I'm gonna run up the wall and keep out of its reach, but up the wall and up over top of it and stay, just to see what happens first.
Clyde, you and Newberry round a corner and you see the beast being surrounded by your coterie. What are you doing?
I feel like the Spinal Tap. Alright. Maybe if we all bite at it at the same time, we can make enough damage. Maybe.
That's a very insightful idea, Clyde. I'm glad that you're using your imagination, says Newberry. If you would be so kind as to act as a shield, I'll gladly help.
You know what? I still have a gun, so since I have a little backup, I'm gonna try to aim for his head.
Alright, give it a dexterity and firearm.
So aiming is
Is resolve in firearm.
proportion or resolve?
Resolve in firearm if you're aiming.
Okay, I'm gonna spend 1 blood to increase my resolve.
Okay. Your hunger grows. You hear that in certain countries, the kindred of the city typically feed werewolves. They keep the lupine in cages. It's supposedly a delicacy. This would be a good time to try it out. All right, so that goes. All right, so Alexander, you reach up to punch it as hard as you possibly can. Several things are happening at once. It takes half of its head explodes. As you're looking up, your fist just glancing off the goatee of its fur, because the bite doesn't actually make it down. As you're watching, as your fist should be connecting with its head, part of its head is no longer there. Simone, the gentleman you met coming down from the stage, is rising above you, coming back toward the earth, having connected with it on his way up as Lucio's shot hit and Clyde's hit from the side, both bouncing around its brain pan. You see the young lady, the Hestia, who pretty much beat the drum of combat, forcing you all to stand against something that you have no right of surviving, sticking to the ceiling over its head. You are awash in lupine, gray matter, and blood. Simone, your shirt, shoes, and pants are ruined as its head explodes as your knee connects with its chin instead of its head, because its head was knocked back by the force of gunfire. What happens next is unbelievable. You were facing off against a 9-foot beast of mangy darkness. You are now standing, hovering invisibly near the body that slumped across Alexander's neck. Her late 50s, a thin house coat that has holes and moth-eaten frayed edges. And the 3.5 kindred, the 3 kindred, not the half, start clapping. The humans who haven't quite made it out of their stairwell, those few who are still too huddled in fear to run fleeing, begin clapping that you all have somehow slayed the bear. There was a bear there. You all killed the bear and drove it off and killed it. They're not sure what. It's not making any sense. You all know what took place. Its wounds and your grievous actions forced it into the land of the dead. You won't know what drove it to this situation. Clyde might. There's something maddening about being lost in a hellscape that every view, if you turn a corner, presents you with the opposite view. But that may be a tale for another day. Right now, you all have survived a terrorist attack from Gary Kindred, a lupine attack from God knows where, because this place, much like many such places across the world, shouldn't actually exist. What are you all doing now?
I'm gonna tell them, let's get out of here before this place closes again and we spend the next 3 years in the underground.
Well, I am gonna trying to keep my mouth closed so I don't get any lupine blood in my mouth. I'm gonna push it off of me and then remember that I need to go get that Bohawk guy, the Genghis dude.
I help Alexander get the bear off of him.
I very calmly walk back down the wall, grab the body of what was a lupine at the time, is now a human, by the collar, and start dragging it back towards the basement because nobody's gonna believe me otherwise.
That you killed an old woman? Sure, they will. They believe that. You killed an old woman. Arzuli, for the first time since you've met her, is completely silent. There is an amount of shock that sits on her face as she looks from one of you to the next. And she follows behind Alexander and Hestia as they begin moving back upstairs. Newberry excuses himself, raising one finger. Oh, I'm sure that there's nothing you should do with that old woman's body, but it is your prerogative. After all, you are the hero of the day. Not that Clyde didn't help, or this gentleman here didn't help, or they didn't help by distracting it by being victims.
Yeah, but you know who didn't help? You, Newberry. Pretty sure you didn't help. So please shut up.
Well, that's a little rude, but I can tell you're under stress. Perhaps now is not the time to offer an olive branch. Nothing worse than having rudeness overshadow logic, decency, morality. After all, you are the same hero that just killed an old woman as far as the world is concerned, but okay, I give you your space. Clyde, thank you for a lovely evening. Arzuli, it is always a pleasure. Sabat, Lucio, perhaps not as bad as I've heard. You have a nice day. I'll be in contact.
You can hear Clyde like, yes, I know this was Panic at the Disco or Disco Inferno, just shut up.
There's nothing like hearing Boogie Wonderland sung by Gregorian monk. But that's what you're dealing with, Clyde, as well. Background.
So, this is the last time I roll up with you in a Friday night, guys.
What? It was great. Had some time, had a drink, a little adrenaline. It's great.
Not to interrupt, but speaking of drinks, we did just kill a you-know-what. Does anybody want to try some of its blood? I know I'm good on that, but I've heard stuff.
Yeah, no. You don't want me to try that.
I will not.
Probably a good idea, and I appreciate your restraint.
Does anybody have Damien's number?
You all do. He gave it to
Yeah.
you in your first class.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I drop the body that I'm holding, pick out my phone, and
Girl, you can't call Damien.
why?
We're not in Chicago. We weren't supposed to be out here. This is technically somebody else's territory. There's a bear and a Dalton, you know.
Amount of Chicago vampires that are now dead. So what do you suppose we do then? How are we covering this up? Because it needs to be covered up. A whole floor fell in.
It is Dalton. And the fire hasn't been put out. You realize that there's no fire department that's come. I'm thinking that somebody might be already working on this, which means I need to make sure that me and Mama Walde are nowhere around when they decide to let the hammer fall. We are driving back, and I'm going to take stock, and we will see what there is that we can do on our end to make sure that we are clear of this. This is just fucking insane is what this is. The whole idea of doing this was to be away from the insanity of the fucking succubus club. But we are out of here. Thank you for showing up, y'all. I can't say anything except thank you so much. Amawalde, bring the car. She heads upstairs to the stage and eases on what's left of the edge of the floor and out the back door.
She makes a good point. You technically are not in Chicago. So maybe we take the body of the troublemaker and this creature and throw it in the trunk and get the hell out of here, lick our wounds, and figure out what to do next, because we don't need the trouble that will come down upon our heads if we get caught here.
2 questions. Number 1, why do you want the body? And 2, why shouldn't we tell Damien?
I'm not saying we're not going to tell Damien. I'm just not going to tell him while we're standing here in somebody else's territory. And the body is for proof.
You can do whatever you want with the body. I got plastic in my trunk. Don't worry about it. And it's a 6-body trunk, so don't worry about it. Let's get out of here.
Who wants to help me carry the faux hawk man to the trunk? I'd like to tag along with you guys to get to the bottom of what the hell just happened here earlier.
Oh
Sure,
my
I'll
god.
give it.
Lucio just puts his hands to his face and just sighs, saying, "What is with all of these bodies that we have to hide now?"
Don't look at me. Y'all started it. I'm just finishing it.
We've somehow doubled the number of bodies that we've put in our trunk in one day.
It's Dalton. What happened to Dalton stays in Dalton.
So I take it the general consensus is we're getting our shit together, taking the bodies, putting them in the trunk, and getting the heck out of here.
Yes.
All right, sounds like a plan. It takes a little maneuvering, simply because there's not enough space to actually walk. It is a feat of acrobatic dexterity to navigate what little bit is left of the flooring on the first floor level. You all using all due care to not fall back into the exposed basement, the broken timbers, the fire still burning, as well as the lovely scent of cordite that fills the air. And still no fire trucks, still no police.
By the way, I'm gonna wait out and grab at least one assault rifle.
Okay, fair enough. Not that big of a problem, considering that the 3 who beat feet had just about run out of ammo, so they didn't take the guns with them because, well, illegal guns when fleeing a scene of a crime is definitely one way to make sure that you get all sorts of the wrong attention as far as they were concerned. You all get the bodies loaded into the trunk. Luckily, it is a Lincoln, and there is space for 6. Not only in the trunk, but in the car itself as well. It's a comfortable old school space. You guys can stretch your legs, and it's far more than initially drove down. But with the addition of Alexander, you all drive back to the Chicago environs. And in doing so, once you hit 95th Street as the Bishop Ford merges with the Dan Ryan, that's when you hear trouble. That's when you hear sirens of all sorts. There's when you see news vans passing you heading south into Dalton. Almost as if there was a general consensus. A meeting was held in some dark hallway or parking structure, and orders were given, walking papers, and demands made. Several things become apparent on the drive. Razuli chose Dalton because it was technically outside of the purview of Chicago. The glaring issue is that each of her special or non once a week at Red No 5 meetings of the Blood Disco happen usually no more than once a month, and usually never at Red No 5. Almost as if there's a quota of Blood Disco she can hold at Red No 5, specifically within the city environs. This was clearly not something that was sanctioned. This clearly, while special, was also something not as protected as Red No 5. The old woman, she has 6 numbers, faded blue ink on her right forearm. When you all make it back to the Haven and get situated, are you going to use the padded cells on the 5th floor or the morgue in the sub-basement?
What's the odds of someone stumbling into the paddock cell?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the body to the morgue, but they can do what they want with Mohawk. I definitely think we should turn him over to the sheriff, though, because he attacked a lot of people, or he was part of an attack on a lot of people. And even though, whatever happened, and technically nobody was supposed to be there or whatever, he still did wrong, so he should be turned over. Um, the body, you said the numbers on the arm, am I familiar with this situation? Does it seem like something that rings a bell for me? Because I kind of think I might know what it is, but I want to be sure if I'm right or not.
Well, there's several things that it could be, but you're hoping that it's not what you almost without a shadow of a doubt know that it is. Clyde, during all of this, you've been significantly quieter than usual. The reality of what you all survived is settling in, and even the voices in your head they won't let you forget what happened. That was something that it seems as if that darkness is calling to you, or you're able to suss those spaces out like a bloodhound. It seems as if you're drawn towards them. Alexander, as you make it back with them to where they call home, their haven, their sanctuary, you realize that this is the coterie that assaulted the Malkavian Primogen weeks ago. This is the coterie that everyone was talking about making inroads into the homeless community. This is the coterie that has beaten the odds and managed leniency from the Primogen. This is the coterie that has given Damien 6 new hounds, basically. Lucio, the truth of the matter is, yes, it is weighing on your soul. These many deaths that have suddenly arisen in the coteries path. For champions of the downtrodden, helpers of the poor, and just all around decent people that run the shelter, this is decidedly almost an antithesis to that idea of help versus Simone. The truth of the matter is that these people, while untrained, you know that this was a retaliatory action for them losing 2 of their high-ranking officers and 1 of their mid-range officers. The clothing, the colors of their flying, the fact that the symbology they were using is exactly the same as those 3 in Succubus that are now either someone's dinner, lunch, or a combination of, nap time snack. So whatever they were doing, it was clearly based on emotionality in the most asinine of ways. Further truths can be arisen if you spend blood or vitae to awaken Genghis before he enters into long-term torpor.
All right. I take him into one of the padded rooms, close the door behind me, and I awaken him. Anyone who wants to come in, they're free to, but I do warn them that there is a better than 60% chance that it's going to get messed.
I would like to witness the interrogation so I can see any answers that Simone comes up with.
All right, sounds like a plan. And this is where I leave you. Thank you all for a lovely end to our 2nd season. Hopefully a great start to our 3rd. It's been fun. Get some rest. Lucio, get as much sleep as you can because I know you have work very short. See you guys later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye bye.
You too. Good
Good
night.
night.